since I began on Top Gear, I've wanted to do a road test of one of these. It's Lamborghini's 140-mile-an-hour LM002. Colonel Gaddafi's got one, you know. Anyway, just when the opportunity presented itself, they went and stopped making it, so I've been forced to spend a couple of days playing around with their cars instead. It's been hell. Sheer hell. You can do something for love. You can do something for money, but there's nothing quite so satisfying as doing something out of spite. Were it not for spite, one of the greatest legends in motoring might never have existed. Signor Ferruccio Lamborghini didn't like Enzo Ferrari, and to spite him, he set about making a better car. Now, most people thought he was being a bit of a ninny, but when he came up with the Miura, they didn't anymore. Now, there'd been mid-engined racing cars before, but this little baby was a first. This was a mid-engined road car. And what an engine. 3.9 litres, V12, a lot of carburettors. 380 horsepower. Now, all that equates to a top speed of 180 miles an hour if you could keep the front wheels on the ground, and 0 to 60 in 5 seconds in the 1960s. Now, in those days, you could use that sort of power. Driving the Miura today is evocative, nostalgic. Back then, it must have been just damn good fun. But then came the 70s, complete with loon pants and glam rock, and, to complement them perfectly, the Lamborghini Countach. Now remember, in 1971, everyone was driving around in Mark II Cortinas. This was as big a leap forward as the Harrier jump jet was from the horse. Throughout its long 19-year life, the Countach kept pace with technological change, evolving from this, the 4-litre LP400, into this, the Anniversary, complete with a 5.2-litre 48-valve V12 and looks that could turn the head of even the most dedicated motoring dunderhead. Now, this is not the nastiest car I've ever driven, because obviously I've been in a Nissan Micra. But it's damn close. It's a bit like driving a washing machine, only the visibility is worse. You can forget all about that letterbox they dare to call a rear window, because you can't see anything out of that. There's no rear three-quarter vision, and the door mirrors wobble like hell. I'm not joking, Daryl Hannah could be sunbathing topless on the boot, and I wouldn't have a clue. But what, I hear you ask, is it like to drive? Well, the answer comes in 2 parts, because on the open road, it's impossible, and around town, it's even more impossible. The problem seems to be that the pipe cleaners which stick out of my torso masquerading as arms and legs are simply not up to the job of turning the steering wheel, or just as importantly, pushing the clutch pedal down. It was, however, not designed as a town car. The boot isn't even big enough for a packet of biscuits. It was designed to go fast, and it does that rather well. So well, in fact, that if you push the loud pedal all the way to the floor, it scares you to death.
I was born, 6-gun in my hand. That's why they call me bad company, and I won't deny.
Then there's was the style, which, let's face it, is more Paul Gascoigne than Edward Fox. If this was food, it'd be an ice cream sundae with a sparkler stuck in the top. If it was music, it'd be rock and roll. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad the Countach was made. I'm glad the world is still capable of such an outrage. I'm also glad I don't own one, but most of all, I'm glad it's now been consigned to the history books. This is why. It's called the Diablo, and it's the fastest car in the world. In Italy, it's been officially clocked at 206 miles an hour. But don't, for one moment, think I'm going to try that here. What I am going to do is demonstrate just how fast the Diablo accelerates. This is the Castle Combe racetrack in Wiltshire. That is a Golf GTI. And this is the difference between a fast car and a Lamborghini. Something else, but how did it do it? Well, the Golf's got a 1.8-litre four-cylinder engine. This has a 5.7-litre V12. The Golf develops 112 horsepower. This develops nearly 500. The Golf goes from 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. This does it in 4. But then again, the Golf does 30 mpg, and this doesn't. But never mind the performance. The best bit is that unlike the Countach, I can actually fit inside. I can also operate the controls, and most important of all, I can see out, which is useful when you're going quickly. The question is, could you really push this thing to its limits? And would every 19-year-old male with a moustache that looks like an earwig kindly stop nodding now, please, because my bet is you couldn't. It doesn't matter, though, because what we have here is nothing more than a toy. It's just that at £157,000, it's a few rungs further up the ladder from a train set.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world. But it doesn't mean nothing without a woman.